Many people believe that order limits them. They think structure suffocates freedom, that rules are chains, and that discipline takes away joy. But this belief is one of the greatest misunderstandings of life. In truth, order is not restriction, order is mercy. Order protects rather than limits, because structure creates safety, stability, and balance in life, preventing chaos from causing harm to the body, mind, and soul. This truth is often misunderstood because people confuse freedom with the absence of boundaries. They assume that if nothing is imposed, life will feel lighter and more joyful. Yet experience teaches the opposite. When there is no order, energy scatters, emotions overwhelm reason, and confusion replaces clarity. Structure does not imprison a person, it shelters them. Just as walls do not exist to trap those inside a home, but to protect them from the outside, order exists to guard life from forces that destroy peace and purpose. Consider how the human body operates. Every system functions according to precise order. The heart beats in rhythm, the lungs expand and contract in sequence, and the brain sends signals with perfect timing. If any of this order were removed, even briefly, the body would collapse. No one would argue that the heart's rhythm is restrictive. It is life-saving. In the same way, order in daily living preserves emotional and spiritual health. It allows a person to function without constant strain, decision fatigue, and internal chaos. Without order, people are forced to make endless choices every moment. When to wake, what to focus on, how to respond, what matters most. This constant decision-making drains strength and creates anxiety. Order removes unnecessary struggle. It decides what deserves attention and what does not. By doing so, it frees mental space for creativity, compassion, and growth. Far from limiting potential, order protects it. Many people resist structure because they associate it with control imposed by others. They recall rigid rules that felt suffocating or authority that felt harsh. But true order is not about domination. It is about alignment. It aligns actions with values, time with purpose, and desire with responsibility. When order comes from wisdom rather than fear, it becomes an act of mercy. It prevents self-destruction, procrastination, and impulsive choices that later bring regret. Chaos often disguises itself as excitement. Disorder can feel thrilling in the short term because it removes accountability. But over time, chaos extracts a heavy price. Relationships suffer, health declines, and spiritual life weakens. Order intervenes before damage becomes irreversible. It creates gentle guardrails that keep life moving forward even when emotions fluctuate. This is mercy at its highest level, protection before pain arrives. Order also stabilizes emotions. When life is unpredictable, the nervous system stays in constant alert. Anxiety rises because the mind does not know what comes next. Structure creates predictability, and predictability creates calm. Simple routines, consistent sleep, prayer, reflection, focused work, signal safety to the mind and soul. They reduce fear not by eliminating problems, but by providing a reliable framework within which problems can be handled. Spiritually, order is essential. Faith without structure fades into mood. One day inspired, the next disconnected. Order transforms belief into consistency. Set times, repeated actions, and disciplined habits protect spiritual life from emotional extremes. This is not restriction. It is compassion for human weakness. Order accepts that motivation fluctuates and builds a system that works even when enthusiasm disappears. Order also protects relationships. Clear expectations, consistent communication, and respectful boundaries prevent misunderstandings and resentment. When there is no structure, people guess, assume, and react emotionally. Order brings clarity. It reduces conflict because everyone understands where they stand. This clarity is mercy because it prevents unnecessary hurt. Even suffering is governed by order. Life rarely delivers all pain at once. Challenges come in stages. allowing people to adapt and grow stronger. This measured experience is not accidental. It reflects a compassionate system designed to preserve the soul. If hardship were random and unstructured, few would survive it. Order ensures that even difficulty has limits. When people reject order, they often believe they are protecting their freedom. In reality, they are exposing themselves to greater bondage, addiction, anxiety, wasted potential, and regret. Discipline feels heavy at first, but chaos becomes unbearable over time. Order asks for small sacrifices now to prevent major suffering later. That exchange is mercy. Order does not eliminate individuality. It gives individuality a foundation. Creativity flourishes within structure. Artists rely on form, musicians on rhythm, builders on measurements. Without these, nothing lasting is created. Freedom without order produces noise. Freedom with order produces meaning. In conclusion, order is not an enemy of freedom, but its guardian. It exists to protect life from chaos, emotions from overwhelm, and the soul from confusion. What feels like limitation is often protection we do not yet understand. Order is mercy because it preserves what matters most: peace, growth, and continuity. When embraced with wisdom, order does not shrink life, it saves it. Order brings clarity to decisions, as routines and boundaries remove confusion and allow energy to be focused on what truly matters instead of being wasted. In a world overflowing with choices, clarity has become one of the rarest forms of mercy. People wake up every day already overwhelmed, not because they lack ability, but because their attention is pulled in too many directions at once. When life has no order, every small decision feels heavy. What should I do first? What deserves my energy? What can wait? This constant mental noise drains strength long before real work even begins. Order steps in quietly and lifts this burden, not by taking away freedom, but by simplifying life in a compassionate way. When routines exist, many decisions no longer require emotional effort. Waking up at a set time, beginning the day with intention, assigning specific hours for work, reflection, and rest. These patterns act like a map. Instead of wandering aimlessly, a person moves forward with confidence. Clarity emerges not because life has fewer challenges, but because the mind knows where to place its focus. This is mercy, because confusion is exhausting, and exhaustion leads to poor choices. Boundaries play a crucial role in this clarity. Without boundaries, everything feels urgent. Every request demands immediate attention. Every distraction feels justified. Order introduces healthy limits that say, this matters now, and that can wait. These limits are not harsh, they are protective. They guard attention, which is one of the most valuable resources a person possesses. When attention is scattered, progress slows. When attention is protected, growth accelerates. Many people believe they will find clarity once life becomes easier. In reality, clarity comes first and ease follows. Order creates clarity by reducing unnecessary options. This does not mean life becomes rigid. It means life becomes intentional. Instead of reacting to everything, a person responds to what aligns with their purpose. This shift alone transforms stress into direction. Clarity also strengthens decision-making under pressure. When values are ordered, choices become faster and cleaner. A person who knows their priorities does not agonize over every option. They measure decisions against what truly matters. Order eliminates the emotional tug-of-war that causes regret. It brings inner alignment, which is a form of peace. Spiritual clarity depends deeply on order. Without structure, spiritual life becomes reactive, praying only when desperate, reflecting only when overwhelmed. Order establishes consistent connection, allowing wisdom to guide decisions rather than emotion. This consistency sharpens perception. Over time, a person begins to recognize patterns, lessons, and guidance that were previously missed. Order creates the mental stillness needed to hear insight. Clarity is also relational. When life lacks order, communication becomes unclear. People send mixed signals, break commitments, and act inconsistently. This creates confusion and mistrust. Order brings reliability. When actions align with words, relationships feel safe. This safety allows honesty to flourish. Once again, order reveals itself as mercy. Even mistakes are easier to correct when order exists. A structured life makes deviations visible. When everything is chaotic, problems hide in the noise. But when life has clarity, small issues stand out early, before they grow into major consequences. Order does not prevent mistakes, it limits their damage. This protective quality is one of its greatest kindnesses. Modern life glorifies constant availability, but clarity requires selective presence. Order teaches when to engage and when to step back. It gives permission to rest without guilt and to work without distraction. This balance restores energy and prevents burnout. A clear mind is not achieved by doing less, but by doing what matters with full attention. Many people chase clarity through external changes, new environments, new relationships, new opportunities. Yet without internal order, clarity remains temporary. The same confusion follows them wherever they go. Order creates clarity from within. It organizes thoughts, emotions, and actions so that external circumstances no longer dominate inner peace. In conclusion, order is mercy because it gifts clarity in a confusing world. It removes unnecessary mental weight, sharpens focus, and aligns decisions with purpose. Where there is order, life feels lighter not because there are fewer responsibilities, but because the mind knows how to carry them. Clarity is not found in endless options, but in intentional structure. When order is embraced, confusion fades, decisions strengthen, and life moves forward with calm direction. Order is an expression of compassion, since growth and challenges are given in measured steps rather than overwhelming doses, allowing a person to develop without breaking. Life rarely demands everything from us at once, and this itself is a quiet form of mercy. Many people underestimate how delicate the human spirit can be when pressure is applied without balance. If growth came all at once, if lessons arrived in full force without pause, most people would collapse under the weight. Order ensures that progress unfolds gradually, respecting human limits while still guiding transformation. Consider how learning happens. A child is not expected to understand complex ideas immediately. Knowledge is layered, simple concepts first, then more advanced ones as understanding grows. This sequence is not accidental, it is compassionate design. The same principle governs emotional, spiritual, and personal growth. Order allows space to integrate lessons before moving on to the next challenge. Without this structure, growth would turn into trauma instead of development. Challenges, when delivered with order, stretch rather than shatter. Difficulty becomes meaningful because it arrives at the right time, in the right amount. People often look back on hardships and realize they survived not because they were strong, but because the burden was manageable. This measured experience reveals a system that values preservation over punishment. Order acts like a wise guide who knows exactly how much pressure will produce growth without causing harm. Disorder, by contrast, overwhelms. When problems arrive simultaneously with no sense of sequence, the mind panics. Anxiety rises because there is no clear starting point. Order introduces steps. It breaks complexity into manageable actions. This not only makes challenges survivable, but also restores dignity. A person feels capable again, not helpless. Emotional healing also depends on ordered compassion. Healing cannot be rushed. Pain surfaces in stages, often when a person is ready to face it. Order allows this timing. It prevents emotional overload by spacing awareness and recovery. When people force healing without order, they risk reopening wounds faster than they can close them. Compassionate order respects the pace of the soul. Spiritual growth follows the same pattern. Transformation does not happen overnight. Habits change slowly. Awareness deepens gradually. Order provides consistency without pressure. It replaces guilt with progress. Instead of demanding perfection, it encourages steady movement. This is mercy because it acknowledges human imperfection without lowering standards. Even failure is treated with compassion within order. Mistakes are not final judgments, they are steps in a process. Order frames failure as feedback rather than condemnation. This perspective keeps people moving forward instead of giving up. When life lacks order, failure feels random and crushing. When order exists, failure becomes instructive. Order also limits suffering. It places boundaries on pain. There are moments of relief between struggles, periods of calm between storms. These pauses are not coincidences. They are necessary for recovery. Without them, exhaustion would consume the spirit. Order ensures that rest follows effort, that hope follows despair. This rhythm sustains life. People often ask why growth feels slow, but slowness is part of compassion. Rapid change can destabilize identity. Order allows a person to remain grounded while evolving. It preserves continuity, ensuring that growth feels integrated rather than disorienting. In relationships, ordered compassion is visible through gradual trust building. Trust is not demanded instantly. It develops through consistent behavior over time. This protects vulnerability. Order creates safety, which allows connection to deepen naturally. Forced intimacy without order often leads to harm. In conclusion, order is mercy because it honors human limits while guiding growth. It delivers challenges in manageable portions, allows healing at a sustainable pace, and transforms difficulty into development rather than destruction. Life is not meant to be survived in chaos but navigated through compassionate structure. When order governs growth, the soul is strengthened, not scarred. Order sustains freedom because true freedom exists only when actions have direction, boundaries, and purpose rather than chaos. Many people believe freedom means doing whatever one wants, whenever one wants, without limitation. At first, this idea feels liberating, but over time it reveals its weakness. Freedom without order quickly turns into confusion, exhaustion, and loss of control. What begins as choice ends as compulsion. Order, far from destroying freedom, is what makes freedom possible and sustainable. Imagine a person standing at a crossroads with no signs, no map, and no destination. Technically, they are free to walk in any direction, yet that freedom is meaningless because it lacks purpose. True freedom is not the absence of structure, it is the presence of direction. Order gives freedom a destination. It transforms movement into progress. Without order, people may move constantly but arrive nowhere. Discipline is often misunderstood as the enemy of freedom. In reality, discipline is freedom practiced consistently. A person who disciplines their time is free from constant urgency. A person who disciplines their finances is free from anxiety. A person who disciplines their speech is free from regret. Order replaces short-term impulses with long-term liberty. It protects future freedom by limiting destructive choices in the present. Consider how mastery is achieved in any field. Musicians practice scales. Athletes follow training routines. Scholars study structured material. None of these people feel less free because of discipline. They feel empowered. Their order expands their abilities. It gives them control over their craft. Freedom grows as skill grows, and skill grows through structure. Chaos produces amateurs. Order produces excellence. Order also protects freedom from emotional tyranny. Without structure, emotions dictate behavior. A person acts when motivated and withdraws when discouraged. This emotional dependence is not freedom, it is bondage. Order introduces consistency. It allows action even when motivation fades. This consistency builds self-trust, which is a core element of freedom. A person who can rely on themselves is not controlled by mood or circumstance. Socially, order sustains collective freedom. Laws, ethics, and shared norms exist not to suppress society, but to prevent harm. Where there is no order, the strong dominate the weak. Freedom becomes privilege rather than right. Order levels the ground. It ensures that one person's freedom does not destroy another's. This balance is mercy in action. Spiritual freedom also depends on order. Without structure, spiritual life becomes reactive, driven by crisis rather than commitment. Order creates steady connection, which liberates the soul from fear and doubt. A structured spiritual life provides stability in uncertainty. It frees the heart from constant searching by offering a reliable anchor. Time itself becomes a source of freedom when ordered. An unstructured life feels rushed even when busy with nothing meaningful. An ordered life feels spacious even when full. This is because priorities are clear. When time is aligned with values, guilt disappears. Rest becomes restful. Work becomes purposeful. This alignment is freedom. Order does not eliminate spontaneity. It creates room for it. When essentials are organized, there is space for joy, creativity, and rest. Chaos consumes energy reacting to problems. Order preserves energy for living. It allows moments of inspiration to be enjoyed without stress. Spontaneity thrives when it is not compensating for disorder. Many people fear that boundaries will trap them. In truth, boundaries protect freedom by preventing burnout, resentment, and loss of identity. A person who says yes to everything is not free. They are controlled by demand. Order teaches when to say no, preserving autonomy and dignity. This selective engagement strengthens freedom rather than shrinking it. In conclusion, freedom without order is temporary and fragile, while freedom supported by order is lasting and strong. Order gives freedom direction, discipline gives it power, and boundaries give it protection. What seems like limitation is often the very structure that allows freedom to breathe. Order does not imprison life, it sustains it. Order anchors spiritual life, turning faith from fleeting emotion into lasting transformation through consistent habits, discipline, and intention. Many people experience spirituality as something that comes and goes, rising in moments of inspiration and fading during routine days. This pattern often leads to frustration because the soul senses that something deeper is possible, yet cannot sustain it. Order enters as a quiet mercy, not to diminish spiritual passion, but to protect it from disappearing when emotions change. Emotion is powerful, but it is unstable. A person may feel deeply connected one day and distant the next. If spiritual life depends only on feeling, it becomes fragile. Order provides a framework that remains steady regardless of emotional state. Fixed times, repeated actions, and intentional practices create continuity. This continuity allows spiritual growth to progress even when inspiration is absent. What begins as discipline slowly becomes depth. Consistency shapes identity. When spiritual actions are repeated regularly, they stop feeling external and begin to feel natural. Order transforms belief into lived experience. A person no longer asks whether they feel connected. They act from connection. This shift is profound. Faith moves from being something one visits to something one inhabits. That stability is mercy because it relieves the soul from constant emotional evaluation. Order also guards against spiritual burnout. When people rely solely on intense experiences, they often push themselves too hard during moments of enthusiasm and then collapse afterward. This cycle leads to guilt and disengagement. Order replaces extremes with balance. It encourages steady effort rather than dramatic bursts. Over time, this balance preserves energy and deepens sincerity. Spiritual habits structured by order create inner clarity. Regular reflection, prayer, or study organizes the inner world. Thoughts become less scattered, intentions become clearer. This clarity allows wisdom to surface. Without order, the mind is crowded with noise. With order, silence appears and insight follows. Silence is not emptiness. It is space where understanding grows. Order also strengthens resilience during spiritual dryness. There are periods when faith feels distant and unanswered. Without structure, these moments often lead to abandonment. With order, a person continues the practice even without immediate reward. This perseverance builds trust. It teaches the soul that connection is deeper than sensation. What feels empty at first often becomes the most transformative stage of growth. Community and tradition rely on order as well. Shared rituals, calendars, and practices connect individuals to something larger than themselves. This connection provides belonging and continuity across generations. Order ensures that wisdom is preserved, not reinvented repeatedly. It allows personal spirituality to be supported by collective experience. This shared structure is mercy because it prevents isolation. Order also protects spirituality from ego. Without structure, spirituality can become self-centered, shaped entirely by personal preference. Order introduces humility. It reminds the individual that spiritual life is not about comfort alone, but about alignment with higher purpose. This humility deepens authenticity and prevents spiritual pride. Over time, ordered practice transforms character. Patience grows through repetition. Gratitude deepens through consistency. Awareness sharpens through discipline. These changes happen quietly, often unnoticed, but they are lasting. Emotional experiences fade, character remains, order focuses on what remains. In conclusion, order is mercy because it anchors spiritual life when emotion fluctuates and motivation weakens. It turns faith into something stable, lived, and transformative. Through consistent practice and intentional structure, spirituality matures from feeling into foundation. Order does not reduce spiritual freedom. It sustains it, allowing the soul to grow steadily and endure. Order preserves blessings because peace, success, and abundance remain where discipline exists, while disorder causes opportunities and resources to leak away unnoticed. Many people work hard, pray sincerely, and dream deeply, yet feel that their efforts never fully settle into lasting results. What often goes unseen is not a lack of blessing, but a lack of structure to hold it. Blessings, like water, require a vessel. Without order, even the greatest flow cannot be retained. Abundance is not only about receiving, it is about sustaining. When life lacks order, gains arrive briefly and disappear just as quickly. Time is wasted, money is mismanaged, relationships are neglected, and health is ignored. None of this happens through intention, but through absence of structure. Order does not create blessing by force. It preserves what already exists. This preservation is mercy because it prevents loss without requiring more effort. Peace is one of the first blessings lost in disorder. A scattered life produces constant tension. Even good things feel heavy when they are unmanaged. Order restores calm by giving each area of life its place. When responsibilities are organized, the mind relaxes. Peace does not come from having less, but from managing well what one already has. Order allows peace to remain. Financial blessing follows the same principle. Money enters many lives, but stays in few. Without discipline, spending reacts to emotion, not wisdom. Order introduces planning, restraint, and foresight. These are not acts of restriction, but protection. They ensure that provision serves long-term stability rather than short-term relief. Over time, this stability multiplies opportunity. Relationships also depend on order to retain their blessing. Attention, trust, and effort must be distributed intentionally. When life is chaotic, relationships receive leftovers. Misunderstandings grow, distance increases, and connection weakens. Order prioritizes presence. It creates space for listening, consistency, and care. This intentionality preserves love. Spiritual blessings, too, require order to endure. Inspiration may come freely, but without structure it fades. Order captures insight and turns it into practice. It transforms moments into movements. This transformation is mercy, because it prevents the soul from endlessly starting over. Health is another blessing easily lost without order. Irregular sleep, neglected rest, and poor habits erode strength slowly. Order protects the body through routine care. It does not demand perfection, only consistency. This consistency preserves vitality. Disorder often hides loss until it becomes severe. Order reveals early warning signs. It allows correction before damage deepens. This preventive quality is one of order's greatest kindnesses. It saves what could have been lost. In conclusion, order is mercy because it preserves blessings already present. It provides the structure that allows peace, abundance, health, and growth to remain and multiply. Blessings thrive where discipline exists. Order does not limit life. It safeguards its gifts. Order builds inner peace because predictability and structure calm the soul, reduce anxiety, and create trust in the process of life. In a world filled with uncertainty, constant change, and endless demands, the human mind is easily overwhelmed. Much of modern anxiety does not come from actual danger, but from unpredictability. When life feels disorganized, the nervous system remains in a constant state of alert, scanning for threats and bracing for what might go wrong. Order enters not as control, but as comfort. It reassures the soul that life is manageable, that there is a rhythm beneath the noise. Inner peace begins when the mind knows what to expect. Simple routines create a sense of safety. Waking at a regular time, having structured moments for work, reflection, and rest, and knowing what the day roughly holds all signals stability. This stability quiets mental chaos. The soul no longer feels like it is being pulled in every direction. Order does not remove challenges, but it creates a container strong enough to hold them without collapse. Anxiety thrives in ambiguity. When everything feels urgent and undefined, the mind imagines worst-case scenarios. Order replaces ambiguity with clarity. It answers the unspoken questions that fuel worry. What happens next? What should I focus on? What can wait? By answering these questions in advance, order reduces mental strain. This reduction is mercy because it frees emotional energy for presence and connection. Trust grows through consistency. When life follows certain patterns, the soul learns that not everything is random. This trust does not mean believing that nothing bad will happen. It means believing that whatever happens can be faced. Order builds this confidence slowly. Each day that flows with intention reinforces a sense of reliability. Over time, inner peace becomes less dependent on external circumstances and more rooted in internal stability. Order also softens emotional extremes. Without structure, emotions dictate the day. A small setback can ruin everything, while a moment of excitement can lead to overextension. Order introduces balance. It allows emotions to be felt without being obeyed blindly. This emotional regulation is essential for peace. It prevents the highs from becoming reckless and the lows from becoming paralyzing. Spiritual peace is deeply connected to order. Regular practices ground the soul during uncertainty. They provide a stable reference point when thoughts spiral. Even brief moments of structured reflection or prayer can reset the nervous system. This grounding reminds the soul that it is not alone in chaos. Order becomes a form of spiritual reassurance. Order also restores peace in relationships. Predictable behavior builds trust. When words and actions align consistently, others feel safe. This safety reduces conflict and misunderstanding. Peace in the heart is difficult when relationships are unstable. Order creates reliability, which nurtures harmony. Rest itself depends on order. True rest is impossible when responsibilities are unclear. The mind cannot relax if it fears forgetting something important. Order allows rest without guilt because tasks have been accounted for. This restful rest replenishes the soul and strengthens resilience. Many people chase peace by trying to eliminate problems. Order teaches a different path. Peace comes from managing life well, not escaping it. Structure creates spaciousness. It slows the inner rush. It invites presence. In that presence, peace emerges naturally. In conclusion, order is mercy because it builds inner peace in a restless world. It calms the mind, stabilizes emotions, and fosters trust in life's rhythm. Predictability becomes a source of comfort, not boredom. Through order, the soul learns to rest even while moving forward. Peace is not found in chaos avoided, but in structure embraced.